that there is a university going on the brewery site. And there isn't. At least not under ISAF or NTMA funding, there isn't. And seeing as Kilkenny County Council voted today to hand over all 6 plots, the only plots that are available on the site for building on, into this NTMA fund, it means that there can't be any kind of third level educational institute, university on it, because there simply is no room left. Having made that point, that's one of the concerns about this arrangement. It's the narrowness of its focus, what it can and what it cannot do, what you can do with it, what you can't. The second element of concern of it is the actual structure of it. And I'm particularly concerned about the structure of it, having listened to Mr. Penderville explain the structure of it today himself. Now, he explained it previously as well, and I have been in correspondence with him several times, and I find him a very courteous man, and he seems to be very much on top of his job. So I have nothing but respect for the man, and I don't want anybody to think otherwise. So I was concerned when I heard it today, because either he doesn't understand, or else he made a mistake in what he told people today. Because what he told people today was, and I can show you, I wish I had a PowerPoint because it would be so much easier if I could actually show you. But you can maybe see it here. This is roughly the structure, right? So on one side we have Kilkenny County Council. On the other side we have NTMA. And in the middle, you will see a limited liability partnership, and underneath that, you will see general partner, right? A limited liability partnership is a mechanism that companies use when they don't want to become a limited liability company, because as Mr. Penderville confirmed, and quite rightly today, that would mean that they would be liable for taxation. And clearly, no local authority dealing with public funds wants to be paying money in tax if it doesn't have to, if there's some way that it can generate income from the people that it's serving and legally not pay tax. So you would say to yourself, okay, that's reasonable enough. That would seem to be a good mechanism for a local authority to use. But they can only set themselves up as a limited liability partnership, which means that Kilkenny County Council will not be directly responsible for every penny of loss on the basis that everything doesn't go 100% right. By making this a limited liability partnership. To do that, they have to introduce a third partner. And the third partner is what is called the general partner. And the general partner is the partner that bears the liability if everything falls to the ground, right? So the general partner in a limited liability partnership is in this case going to be a company that Kilkenny County Council and NTMA are going to set up between them. And it's going to be called Abbey Quarter Limited, right? And we are going to transfer the 6 pieces of land on the brewery site, the Mayfair, the brew house, the Maturating building, and the 3 big blocks down by the river in the first instance, and maybe the 7th block, which is over on the north side of the Brega eventually. And we're going to transfer those into this general partner. And they're going to register those and they're going to own them, whoever this is. And I'm going to throw in something else and then come back to this. In the course of his explanation of doing this today, Mr. Penderville pointed out that he'd had a meeting with the councillors in 2015, which is true, I was at it, when the then county manager explained, as he said, Mr. Penderville said, the options available to Kilkenny in order to get the best out of the brewery site. And he explained the options that day exactly the same way as he explained them today, in 10 seconds flat. Here's the 3 options that we have. We can fund it ourselves, and we can't because we haven't got the money. We can sell it, but if we sell it, we'll have no control over it. And 3, we'll do NTMA now, and then an hour and a half explaining the strengths of NTMA, very few weaknesses. So that was their exploration of what was available to us at the time. And in that very same way, he mentioned those options again today. And he said the reason we didn't go the second route then was because if we went the second route, whatever happened on the brewery site, we'd have no control over it because we'd be selling it and people could build or do whatever they liked on it as long as it complied with planning. Under the terms of this partnership, unlike what Mr. Penderville suggested today, when he said the councillors and Kilkenny County Council will have direct control over what happens, they will not. They're prescribed by law, they're statutorily banned, not allowed. Those partners in this that have no liability are banned, not allowed to get involved in the running, the implementation, or anything else that the general partner does. So what Mr. Penderville essentially said today was, we could have sold this to people for money and done something with it for the people of Kilkenny and had the same level of control over it as we're going to have now, but we're getting nothing out of it because we're putting it into this partnership. And what are we getting out of it? We're getting the liability of the 4.57 million that he told us about today to put in the infrastructure in order to allow these 6 plots to be ready and marketable for other people. So that's what this is about. That's me trying to make it short and simple. This is the Kilkenny County Council document that, as I said, we will put up on the site. There's loads I'm leaving out of this because there's pages and pages and pages of it in it. There's loads of detail in it that it might seem as if I'm skipping over. You're all going to get bored stiff and some of you are standing, and if I go into it, I could be here until tomorrow. So we'll put the full document up there for you, and you can see it yourselves. You can verify yourselves that what I have tried to explain to you here is a reasonably fair and accurate representation off at the top of my head of what's in this document. So that's the second point. Having committed ourselves now to this, we didn't today vote to actually dispose of the land. We didn't today vote to dispose of the land, I'm guessing, because we don't actually have possession of the land yet to dispose of it. We won't have possession of the land probably until July or August or some time in the future, because we don't get possession of the land until all demolition, etc. is finished. So I'm guessing that that's why we didn't dispose of it. But an integral part of this commitment that we voted on today is that we do dispose of, in other words, hand over the land as soon as we get our hands on it. So it'll be like a lot of other things, like your wages for many of us on a Friday. We watch it passing through as it goes on to the shop or pay the rent or the mortgage or whatever it is. A third point, now that I think of housing in all of this, is that the amount of money that it's going to commit Kilkenny County Council to going forward in order to do all the things, and again, if we look at them here, Mr. Penderville, he lists them, right? So we're going to have to do things from memory, like we have to do the roads, we have to put in the services, We have to pay for all the design services. We have to do the archaeology. We have to do, all the development and planning. We have to, I just can't remember, the list just goes on, and we're obliged to do all of those. And Mr. Penderville told us today that we're going to pay for all that out of the council's income. In other words, out of our money. So all you people here who are paying rates and who are struggling, you'll be glad to know that your rates will be going into developing competition for yourselves down on the brewery site. So I hope that makes you happy. All of you people who are desperate here for housing, it removes an option, a choice from the local authority of allocating some of our local funds to putting